Hello, everyone. Welcome to my event here today. Joining me today is Mark Victor Hansen. For anyone out there who doesn't know who Mark is or what he's done or what he stands for, he is literally one of the world's best-selling authors. He holds multiple Guinness Book of World Records for writing books and publishing. He's been on New York Times #1 bestseller 59 times. So not only does this man know how to write a book, but he knows how to write a book that's amazing. He knows how to write a book that connects with people, and his books have literally changed the world because they've affected millions and millions of people's lives and have created a space where he can go and share with the world what he's been able to do and impact people. And so his reach is amazing, his talents are amazing, his skills are amazing, and he is joining us here today to help you, to teach you, to uplift you, give you tips, tools, and tricks so that you can write your book, so that you can share your story with the world, and so that you can have the things maybe that you've needed, or maybe tools that you've been missing, or be able to have access points so that you can support your book journey. Because it's my personal belief, I believe everyone should write a book. I had the opportunity to co-write the book, How to Be Up in Down Times. I did this when the pandemic was hitting, when we saw things were happening that was going to change the world, and I wanted to support people. I did this in partnership with Mark and a lady named Mitzi Perdue. Mitzi Perdue owns a company called Perdue Farms. It's the third largest chicken company in the world, and her dad started Sheraton Hotels, an amazing person. But we did this to help people. But why I mention this is because books change the world. Books literally create the world that we live in today, because everything I learned in school came from a book. All the things that we study from come from books. We have all these different forms of consumption of media and all different things now, but the core foundation of it is a book. And so with that, I won't take any more time. I want to introduce and bring up on stage here the one and only Mark Victor Hansen. Welcome, Mark. Thanks for joining me today.
It's my great pleasure, Preston, and I agree with you 100% that everybody has a book in them, everybody's got a song in them, everyone's got an invention in them, everyone's got a business in them, no matter what your chronology. I mean, I can go as young as you want, because as you know, I did Richest Kids in America book, or senior, and then I've written this book here, right there, the yellow book. You have a book in you, because we want to help you pull it out, whether you want to do it yourself or whether you want to do it with us, and we're going to talk about that. And then what Press said, just today, I just got this little letter from a kid that was really touched my heart, is that I won the Horatio Alger Award, which means I came from rags to riches, and I won it in 2000. My classmate was Tom Selleck and a bunch of famous guys and ladies. You win it in the Supreme Court, and they put a gold medal over your shoulder and all that. But I meet this kid that's dad was a captain in our military and a prisoner of war for 9 years in Vietnam, finally gets out of the slammer, grabs his family and 6 kids, gets as a boat person to America. But his son, who I met as one of our scholars, that we gave him the money to go to college, little Nathan Wynn is his name, he's from Vietnam. He says, growing up, I hated reading. From elementary school through high school, I didn't even finish a single book. I didn't like what I was reading. I didn't like reading itself. My transformation started by accident. By chance, I read a Chicken Soup for the Soul book, one of these little guys here, that I'm sure all of you have read. We've got lots of them. Reading Mark's book opened my world to bigger times. It made me start thinking the possibilities never considered before. It started me thinking a picture for afterlife. And then he met me, and he's 5'5", and he said, I had to look up at you and thought you were 7 feet tall when I met you. And he said something beautiful happened. Mark's sheer charisma overpowered Nathan's insecurities. He beamed a sense of energy and radiance, and it overtook my own negativity. And there's a flashlight in a room of darkness. There's a warmth about him. When I looked at him, even though he's almost a foot taller than me, I felt that I was looking at me eye to eye. Mark reached out to the shaken young man's hand. Nathan said the inner monologue was this: those hands could heal the world. There's enough warmth in those hands to do it. I'll cry if I read the rest of it, but He's gone on to do great and wonderful things and has written a book to help everybody. The point is, when I met him, he didn't know he had it in him. Some of you watching now don't know you've got it in you. And what Preston and I are saying is, look, there's more in you than you've ever imagined. And we'll do a little PowerPoint in a minute to show you what we've got for you. But every one of you, I want you to understand, you have a book in you. You've got a story in you, and the whole world is our story out pictured. So, you know, if you get a great story and you can master it and share it and tell it, your life gets infinitely better. You get richer, you get happier, you leave a legacy, you score a lot of people, and you help all future generations. With that, I'll give it back to you, Press. I hope that was a good intro.
Yeah, no, it is. It's amazing the power of the book, you know, and what I love too, you know, is we've had a couple questions, and maybe you can take, you know, a couple questions right now as you go through, you know, some of the things that we talked to. But John asked, is it still worth it to write a book? Are there too many books out there? So what's your response for that?
I'm going to give you a bigger answer than you expect. I think you said, Jonathan. The answer is it's always worthy to write a book. First of all, books have only been really around thanks to Gutenberg 500 years ago. There's 2 libraries, you know, started long ago with Alexandria, and then our friend Andrew Carnegie, who taught Napoleon Hill and myself a whole lot of stuff, but I didn't see him live. I just learned about him by books. So the answer is yes, because what happens is we've gone from a big book time to a little book time to a time when everybody can have their book. We're going to get it out digitally. And for the first time, we've got 8 billion people on cell phones. We're going to figure out a way to do that. And we're going to do it in a multiplicity of ways, which if you stick with us, we're going to teach you how to do it in print. We're going to teach you how to do it digitally in multiplicity of ways. If the book is worthy, we're going to show you how to make it into a film, and I'll talk about that. And if it's really good, we can go all the way to metaverse now, which is, that didn't exist before right now. So we're in the most exciting book time in history. And just so you know, we're going to specialize in talking to you about fiction books, but fiction books last year during the height of COVID did $87 billion worth. That's spelled with a B. So the book business has never been bigger and better for those who want to do it. But remember, most people are frightened by this thing and not willing to do the do. And we're going to not only show you how to do the book, but Preston and I did a whole set of videos on how you can learn how to market, at least the way we did, which is bypass marketing. And we got brand new ways to bypass marketing, which we'll get to as we talk through here, that are so exciting. So they're touching the hem of the garment of real greatness for each and every one of us to come forth and multiply. How's that?
I love it. You know, one thing too that I've noticed that every time we talk about books, every time you talk about books, you never stop at the book, right? It's always these extra things that go beyond the book. And you kind of mentioned that just barely with, you know, the business ideas behind it, the metaverse behind it, you know, the different interactions behind it. But it's one thing I want to, you know, for all the viewers to understand, you know, out there that watch this is, you know, is a book really just a book, or is it, what is a book really, you know, comprehensively, right? When it's written.
So, great, Chris. So we're saying, hey, look, you ought to have a business, you got to have a book, and then you got to have marketing. And a book, it makes your brand bigger, stronger than ever. And I'll just give the example. Our current bestseller, my wife and I wrote it, is called Ask, The Bridge from Your Dreams to Your Destiny. And we're saying everybody is coded at birth with a destiny code. You've got a destiny soul code, and you got to ask yourself. We're teaching how to ask others and ask God. And what's amazing is that I say today to you, you've got to be original, you've got to be unique, and it's got to be inevitable. When the reader gets it, they're going to have instant transformation. So the first thing we did in this book to make it unique that no one's ever done before is we wrote a prologue. It's actually my wife who wrote it, and it's about the fable of Michaela, because America doesn't have a great fable. Now remember, I'm of Danish descent. I had to read all of Hans Christian Andersen growing up in Danish. So when I finally could learn how to read, the fact is that we've talked about the fable, and now, as of yesterday, we've got the people that want to make the fable into a movie. Now it's fascinating. It's not concluded yet. We haven't signed any dotted lines, but the people that made the movie for The Alchemist, and if you're a really good reader, and if you haven't read The Alchemist, you want to read it, but it's the only book. Now, I've sold 19 million of one book, which is phenomenal, but The Alchemist sold 150 million copies of one book. And when we were modeling this book, we said we're going to do it like The Alchemist. Well, it turns out The Alchemist is finishing a video, the movie, in Morocco. That's the top of Africa for those who don't know where it is, on the Mediterranean. And I've been there a couple times with all the camels and everything. But they're finishing that movie on The Alchemist, and the next movie they want is they're talking to my wife Crystal about how fast can we do this, and it has a whole bunch of appendages which are just exquisitely exciting. But that's why when press says, "Is it a book?" Well, hell, they're even saying, "Look, we ought to have the castle of Michaela at Disneyland," and this guy was with Disney for like 40 years. So it is ever expanding. And when press asks about a book, when I did Chicken Soup for the Soul of Jack, Dr. Canfield, we did great. But then one weekend I'm reading about licensing. I read Steven Spielberg and George Lucas's biography, and they've made $800 million in AP, but $1.5 billion licensing. I said, I'm going to be the biggest in licensing. And Jack said, what do you know? And I said, nothing. But Bucky taught me when I was in graduate school that everything's a circle and you're outside until you get inside. And if you read 2 to 3 hours a day for at least a year, you're going to be the insider's insider. You're going to know everything about any domain or discipline that you want. And I obviously did that, and I've done $1 billion worth of book licensing, but that's called a good beginning. That's not called an end. And some of your authors say, well, you're 74 and rich, you could do anything. No, I can't, but that's the point. All of us are here to be what Solomon said in Psalm 72, influencers of influencers, and a book is the best way to brand yourself, to have a brand that commands, is what Preston and I like to call it.
Yep, I love it. I love the brand that commands. And yeah, it's all about that. I mean, and two, what I love about books is it continues. It keeps living out there in the world. It keeps existing out there in the world. You wrote, these books, through your whole career, but they still are relevant. They still show up. People still buy them. You still make money from them. You have that long-lasting life cycle of your involvement with the book. It's just so much more than the writing. So I love that.
In the book, it's called Having a Long Tail, and books I wrote 20 and 30 years ago, I'm still getting checks on it, which I think is really wonderful. And it's called a royalty in the book business. And maybe you have an agent, maybe you don't, but we're going to show you some ways to do it yourself and not have an agent before this is over. So I think you'll be.
Well, that's perfect too, because I had someone ask. So Karen asked, can you self-publish and still have a bestseller? Is that possible?
Yeah, by the way, the answer is yes, and the answer has been yes for over 40 years, because when I came into the business, and I've been in it 47 years, it was at the front end of what's called desktop publishing, and desktop publishing took us from 8 major houses like Random House, which has been very kind to give me $1 million a book, like 1 Minute Millionaire and all that, but they've just laid off 8,000 people because the book business is in transition. Now, everything's in transition. That's why on my 1 Minute Millionaire book, I always show the butterfly, which is you can't look at a caterpillar and predict butterfly. And we've all been COVID confinement. And now I say, look, we're in this cocoon, but we're about to break out. That's why you got to have your book before we totally break out during this time. And we're going to show you how to do it well and do it fast. So the answer is, can you self-publish? I've got a lot of books that I've self-published, like The Miracle of Tithing, which I sell to churches, and the churches give it out whenever they're doing a fundraising, and they buy 5, 10, 15,000 at a time. And it's wonderful because I self-published it, and we're going to rewrite it and bring it up to date, even because I know more about giving and living greatly than ever before, because givers gain and all that stuff. So the answer is yes and way yes. And today you could put it up at your own portal, which there are a lot of people doing exactly that we could talk to, and you can put it up at Amazon, but it always is going to come back to when you're done with the book, you're 10% done. You have to have a great book that is called, in our business, it's called sticky, meaning they want to read it and then they can't go to bed at night and they keep reading it, or in the bathroom, wherever they are, reading in the sofa or under a light, or whatever. It's called sticky. And then that's the kind of books we're going to show you how to write here in a few minutes. And then 90% is, just so I finish that thought, sorry, I almost didn't finish, is marketing, sales, hustle, and creating what I call bypass marketing. And you do stuff that nobody's ever done before. And we're doing that intimately better than anyone else, I'm thankful to say. Knock on.
Nope.
No.
So yeah, so that's it. So the book is just the beginning. It's the beginning of the journey of authorship. It's the beginning of every single thing, and the weight that comes behind it's 90% bigger, than the book. And but also, everything that you have to create is beyond that too. So it expounds bigger than a lot of people, I think, initially understand. And I think the potential and what you're talking about is, really opening people's mind up to the potential of what they can do with the book. And so I love it. Let's see, we've got a couple more questions. Let's see. From Darren, he wrote, I wrote a book, but it didn't sell. What should I do?
Dang. By the way, that's most of the books. Last year, 750,000 books came out, and 75,000 of them can end up being number one on New York Times, because there's not one New York Times list, which is a misnomer. There are 15 of them, and it's 15 times 52 weeks a year, and then you've got the 15 bestsellers in that list. So there's lots of potential, but the question is, did you know how to market it? Did you know how to sell it? Did you advertise it? Did you do something unique? Did you do something innovative? Did you do something irresistible to the market? Like when Jack and I wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul, we'd both spent over $180,000 getting it from nowhere to somewhere, and we still got turned down by 144 publishers. And we're into butt-breaking behavior, but finally we get this little publisher and we start selling it from a seminar. And then once we were selling 20,000 a week, New York Times wouldn't put it on the list. So Jack had gone to Harvard and third in his class, and great, brilliant, and this lady would be in his class was running. I said, Jack, call your classmate. He said, oh, I can't do that. I said, well, good, then I'll call her, because I'm fearless. The answer is no, because we're not getting anywhere. So I called her up and she said, you have a multi-authored book. And she said it with disdain. And I said, yeah, you don't take multi-authored books? She said, no, this is a New York Times. I go, really? I didn't know that. I've read the New York Times my whole business life. Of course I know that. Said, we don't do multi-author books. I said, you're sure? She said, I'm sure. I said, well, I don't think you're correct. And she said, why is that? I said, well, you did the Bible, and it's 66 books unless you had maps and it's 720. And when my publisher said you can never outsell the Bible, I said, oh, great. Write me a note that says I can go to another publisher. I went to Thomas Nelson, and we did Chicken Soup with this whole Bible. And I sold 70,000 a week at Walmart, because this is a book they wanted, because it wasn't threatening to people. It didn't look like a black cover, and it wasn't being thrust at them, and my colors are purple and gold, as you can see. And so it really worked. The point is, you got to write a book that you test. And when we did Chicken Soup with the Teenage Soul, we were trying to be bought by Time Magazine, but the head of Time Magazine at the time was my dear friend Larry Kirschbaum, and Larry's daughter was running Nickelodeon. And I said, oh man, we're doing Chicken Soup with the Teenage Soul. Larry, would you let us test 250 of the stories we think will kill it? And we even did a little morals, which kids that don't moralize us, let us figure out our own solution. And we had 12,000 kids give feedback, because feedback's a breakfast of the champion. If the book's not selling, you didn't ask for the right feedback before it came out. And we start at the end. I do that in my book. You have a book in you, but we're going to teach how to start at the end. We start with the title. In our company, Mark Victor Hansen Library, which we're going to talk about after we do these 3 more questions, markvictorhansenlibrary.com, which you can call Preston and talk to him about anything, but about your book. But the fact is, we start at the end, and we start with the cover. I'm going to show you those in a minute. Okay, next question, Preston.
Yeah, and then we've gone through a couple. I got one more question here, so and then we can talk more about that. So from Michael, he asked, how do you pick the right publisher? So how do you pick the right publisher?
Okay, so every one of us writes in some zone, and all publishers publish generally, with the exception of my company, in a zone. And in a zone, that means they do specialized, like Scholastic specials, historically, not currently, historically sold to kids 12 years and younger. And when my kids were in school, and there were library and assistants and all, every Scholastic book fair, because I had a wallet that was very cheap, they could buy anything they wanted. But Scholastic sold to kids. Scholastic, just so you know, all the rejections that Rowling got for Harry Potter, finally she got to Scholastic, which pays the lowest royalty, and she ended up becoming the bestseller. Now, she is so good at marketing that she got $160 million from Diet Coke. She did a better deal with them than I did, thank God, and I'll tell you my deal in a little bit. And then, she obviously made the movies, and the movies took off with the book. and the kids that read that book stay up late, but it's written for 12-year-olds and down. Well, Scholastic, unfortunately, like no schools have been open in Canada, and 30 states are not open in America and New Zealand, Australia. So Scholastic's going like this, not because they did anything wrong. It's just this, I got a judgment about COVID confinement. It's not a good thing at all. We got to open up the world again, but Scholastic may not be here when the world opens up, it looks like next time. So the question he's asking, so I overdid it on the kids' books, but each publisher does a certain kind of book. Like with 1 Minute Millionaire, we went to Random House because they were doing all the Deepak's thing, and they were on Open Mind in a division called Harmony, and they got 20 or 30 divisions, and each company does different stuff. Thomas Nelson, like this Chicken Soup of the Christian Soul and Religious Soul, does spiritual books. So everybody does some zone that they, Wiley does business books, Forbes magazine does business books. So there are different zones for different authors, and there's different agents. So if you have a favorite author and an agent, if you look either in the front of the book and look at, or the back of the book and read the chapter on acknowledgments, it's going to say who the agent was if they had an agent. And like earlier question, you can be your own agent if you can get in. But when you go in an agent's office, they have books piled to the ceiling. When you go at Random House or Simon and Schuster, I've been to every one of them multiple times. They're all books published because most people think, oh, I'll just send this in. This is such a good book, they're going to love me. No, they're overwhelmed and they don't know how to think marketing. So if you come in with a platform, back to what I said, the book's done when you do an extraordinary book with a great cover and a great title, you're 10% done. 90% is if you thought through the market, how you're going to take control of a market that nobody's ever thought to take over. And after I show you what I'm going to show you next, you're going to see how I'm taking over some new markets. Did you say there was more question, or that was it for right now? And then I'm going to go to share.
Yeah, that's it for right now. So go. Yeah, if you have something else to share, go ahead.
Okay, share screen and this. Can you see this, Press? Can you see what? Yes.
No.
What do I do to get it on the screen? Show the screen. Okay. Share. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the two of us, Press or me, I'm the neophyte here. I'm having trouble getting that screen to share. How's that? So what I will do is I will go back and send this to you, Press. Allow me to leave you for a second, and we will send this to you, and then you and I tell you.
Right.
How's that?
Well, yeah. While you sort that out, I'll just chat for a moment. But yeah, what's amazing, I mean, you by far, have opened up my mind onto what a book was. When I got into the journey with you about books, I didn't understand. I knew what a best-selling book was. I know what selling millions of books looks like, but I didn't understand the depth and the reach that people can have when they write a book. And that's what's so amazing to me, is that I look at book kind of like a foundational piece. It's like this foundational piece of a business. It's a foundational piece of you representing yourself. It's a foundational piece of your thoughts, or whatever it is that you stand for as a person. And in writing a book, in the journey and the experience of writing a book, you have the opportunity to take down your thoughts. No one can edit it. No one can obstruct it. No one can, take your account down. You wrote it and it exists and it's out there in the world. And whether it's right or wrong, it doesn't actually matter, because people align with whoever you are. Now, not that I don't think people should go out there and write wrong content, but they'll align with you if you're wrong. They'll align with you if you're right, but they'll know who you are. They'll know who you are. They'll know what you represent. They'll know what you stand for. And it is, I believe, if probably the most powerful way to gain credibility in a space is to write a book. If you want to write a book and you want to enter a space, enter a topic, it's the fastest way to become an expert, because of what I just said. Because once you write it, it's out there. and everyone can connect with you or they can disconnect with you if it's not what they believe in. But it puts it out there to the world, makes it actually happen, and it's what creates everything. So I love that. And check back in with Mark here.
Hey, can you look at your email and see that I sent you a PowerPoint just now? And did it come through?
Let's see. I will check that right now. I am not seeing anything with that, so we might just have to move on past that.
Wonderful. It's such a fun PowerPoint to show. It's a shame.
We'll have to do that another time and come back. But yeah, I don't know if you want to run through a couple of the ideas or the things.
Allow me, ladies and gentlemen. About 6 months ago, a great man named Tom Black, who's had the good fortune of selling 65 million copies of just one book in a wonderful way, and said, "Hey, look, the whole fiction market is big. You've done the hard market and sold 500 million books. That's 500 million books. Why don't you do the easy market?" And I said, "There is no easy market." He said, "No, look at fiction here. It is a bigger, better, stronger market." So I was going to show you some of the covers, and you're going to have to go to our website called markvictorhansenlibrary.com. But what we've done is we've finished 49 books. And what we do is we listen to somebody, because most people aren't really good at writing. So what we are is we are probably the fastest growing, if not the biggest ghosting company, because most people ghost one book a year, and that's great. So we said, no, we want to do it in volume. Now, we want to do it in volume for a multiplicity of reasons. First of all, the book buying market is better than ever. Second of all, we have found a market that nobody else has a tendency to see, and that's what I am. I'm a niche marketer. I say grow rich in your niche. That's what I do with Chicken Soup. That's what I've done with every one of my best-selling 318 books that I've written or co-authored. And what happens is we want to help you do the same thing. We have you call Preston or text Preston at this number, and then he'll talk to you, and then you get to talk to Tom Black. And if you choose to do a book with us, we are equivalently writers for hire. It's going to have your name on the book. Oh, did it show up? Press. It looks like you've got it. All right. So we're saying, look, you have a book in you, and what we're representing.
The website here. So yeah, just so we can show people.
Every one of you have great stories. That's just our website, but great stories to tell. And here's some of the books and the covers that we've done already. And they are really spectacular. If you'll forgive me for saying so, because we start with a book cover, and I'm going to send Press a book cover of my own book today, which we're really excited about. But just great stories. We want stories that are impactful, that are life-changing, that will take somebody from here to there, that'll take somebody to do stuff that they've never thought that they could do before, and wake up their inner being, because authority comes from the word author, and Christ always was one talking with authority, and we want you to have the authority of understanding how to think at levels you never thought before. And Preston and I've had the good fortune of meeting most of the people whose books are here, and we'll stop it at just now for a second, and you can't make that any bigger. Go back up, Press, if you don't mind, to Rich Widows.
Yeah.
Which Press and I wrote a book with, is Mitzi Perdue, and she said, well, I've never had a fiction book, and I've written 4,000 scientific articles, and her dad started Sheridan Inns during the Depression, and her husband started a little poultry business that now does 22 million chickens a week that are organic and great for you. Anyhow, so we wrote this book for her. She gave us principles she wanted to teach. We fictionalized it. We call it The Rich Villas of the Valley. And then we did the cover, which if you could make that cover large, you'd say, holy cow, that is one of the more extraordinary covers that I've ever seen. Well, good, you can do it, right? Isn't that beautiful, ladies and gentlemen? I just think it's so eye-catching. Well, it turns out that my partner, Tom Black, and my wife's partner, said, holy cow, he gave it to his next door neighbor who's with a little company called Hallmark, and they did 75 movies last year, and said, well, we want this as a whole movie series. So then the next guy that called in, because we charge people $27,900, it's very low compared. Most people charge $100,000 to write a book for you. So relatively, we're about a third of the price, and we're much faster because we have 49 writers on staff, because writers have been put out of business, and I'll talk to you why that is. So they're all available. So I just know all the best writers and people that are going to be ghosts. They're invisible. You're going to have your name in the book, like Mitzi has her name in the book. Anyhow, next call I get is the guys in Dubai created little Reebok shoes. and created aerobics. And he did it with a 17-year-old named Shaq, the Shaq Attack guy who I love so much, Mr. Basketball. He's only 7'2". He's a little guy. And then Jane Fonda, he did aerobics with her, and Richard Simmons. He said, I'm 87 and I want to finish this book, and I've done an autobiography. I said, we'll do any kind of book you want. But he gave it to us, and it was 357 pages. I've got permission to tell the story, Joe's story, and I said, look, I'll compress it down to 150 pages. That shoemaker is something we read. But I said, Joe, my wife, Crystal, was given on one of her decade birthdays a bowl that said, if you don't think shoes are important to a woman, ask one woman, Cinderella. Right? I said that to Joe, and he roared with laughter, and his wife Julie roared with laughter. And then he said, well, so what is it? I said, well, last night I read that, and I said, I'll come up with the perfect title for you, Cinderella Sneaker. And I said, nobody is making the shoes for somebody. They're making shoes for Nike, for young and jocks and sports and every sport you can imagine, but nobody's doing it for seniors. And even Preston's son, who I'm a great fan of, who turns 10 tomorrow when we're making this. Now, some of you are going to see this months from now because we're recording it, I'm sure. But he even came up with 3 ideas and said, Mark, you got to do these 3 ideas for senior sneakers. And I went, way cool. And he is like Preston, not bright, ultra bright. He radiates, and he's going to be one of the great world leaders, I predict, when he gets older. But the point is, we've had all these people come to us. We had the world's, one of Preston's neighbors is the kids of the world's richest attorney. He has 6,500 attorneys working for him. Flies in his Gulfstream 650, tells us how he's doing business, says, Mark, I want to do a book with you. And I am really the golden goose. So what we did is we did the cover of his book, and it shows a golden egg, and it's a goose, and how one guy could get 6,500 attorneys working for him and do more good than anyone and win more cases than anyone has ever won. It is touching to me that all of you have a great story in you. All of you have an important story in you. All of you have an impactful story in you. And we got to tell those stories. Now, let me just do the negative for 1 second. When guys like Hitler, Stalin, Mussolini, and Mao come to the fore, the first thing they do is burn the books. And that's in socialism and communism. So I'm a total free enterpriser, as you may know by all the money books I've written. And I hope you'll read them. And I've got a new one coming out that'll be bigger than anything I've ever written before, I think. And it'll be out shortly. And I can hardly wait to show you all the stuff we're doing. Anyhow, because you and I are here to have fun, except I don't know how to show my screen, so I can't show you even the book cover, which just came out today. Anyhow, because we start with the cover. But I've written this book. It's an exciting time to be alive if you're awake, alive, enthusiastic. It's a dreadful time if you're at home, locked in, and believing that you're not ever supposed to go out again and that the boogeyman's going to get you. I'm not saying if people aren't getting sick. I've had COVID, but you get over it and you're healthy, and hopefully you're taking good care of your immune system. And Press and I are working with the top lady doctor to write a book, and she is doing a phenomenal job. And she was, first of all, a PhD pharmacist, figured out how to do stuff, and now she's figuring out how to help with all the doctor clinics she has. How many doctor clinics has she got around the country, Press?
I think 36 or something like that. Yeah.
The number I remember is 110. If I give you the wrong number, ladies and gentlemen, it's that I'm not looking at any statistics. I got way too many numbers gushing through my head on a daily basis, although I'm usually pretty good with numbers. But she's going to do a book that's going to change the world to get everybody healthy. And she went over, as Press and I are helping her write this book. She went to, which country did she go to test everything?
Africa. She did everything in Rwanda. Yeah, but and her product just got FDA approval for the treatment of something of COVID-19. I don't know the legal way to describe it, so I won't talk about it here. But amazing things are happening.
So the point, what I'm saying, this lovely lady who will go unnamed right now, who Press and I think the world of, and she thinks the world of us, is going to put her imprimatur, her name, her fame, and everything to solve a problem that is tragic that we have. But there's the goal in life, for my money, when I went bankrupt and I want to kill myself, slash my wrist, luckily I started listening to positive self-help action stuff, got with the top guy in speaking Cabot Robert, met another guy to do hands-on mentoring of me, like we want to mentor you, Chip Collins. And he showed me I could go speak in the life insurance business, and then I started selling, books and cleaning up. It was just a real wonderful thing. So I went from tragic to magic, and I want to take some of you are at your adversity and you're hanging on by your fingernails. We are not making fun of you. This is the time to transition. This is the time to understand you've been stuck in this cocoon, and now we want to help break you out. The sunlight's going to come out, your wings. We grew butterflies on my estate back in Newport Beach, California, when my little daughter was becoming a vet, wanted to be. And the butterfly has to come out, and the wings got to dry before they can fly when they come out of the cocoon. I don't know if you all know that, but a little bit too heavy for this story. But it was great to watch them all emerge, because they all emerge within 2 or 3 weeks. Just like, I'll go one step too far here, but if you ever plant tomato seeds in a row and you space them and say, well, they'll come in every 2 weeks. When they come in, they all hit at the same time. It's just too many tomatoes at once. And I hope you were into organic growing of your own food sooner or later. And we want to help you make enough money with your book that you can do that. So I can talk about any part of the business you'd want to ask about for us, or anyone's asking about writing in.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think, one thing that I wanted to ask and have you expound on that you mentioned earlier and brought up is, stepping out. I have people that have come to me, and so I want you to share about this. I have people that come to me and they say, oh, Preston, I just want to write the book. And then just let someone else market it. Let someone else sell it. Let the world read it. And I know we've got some beliefs around that. So I wanted you to hit that. What role do authors need to take if they're going to do the book journey? What does that look like?
Okay, so look, I was on the board of the world's biggest airline for 15 years. It had headquarters in Middle Oregon and down here, Evergreen. All the UPS planes were ours. We dressed the guys in brown, painted our planes brown. But this guy, Del Smith, who had me on his board with Wally Famous Amos and Chuck Yeager and all the big guys, we're all pals. But what happens is, what you learn about an airplane taking off, it takes 60% of the fuel to get the airplane into lift, and then it floats through the sky at 500 miles an hour. Same thing here with a book. A book does not, N-O-T, does not sell or market itself. You could go to the biggest publishing house in the world. Simon & Schuster is in Random House, and Hachette and Time are all big houses. They can't make your book successful. You make your book successful. And my new friend, Grant Cardone, says, you have to be the one that decides that you're going to make yourself a celebrity. The book is just your front end. Everybody wants a signature. When I was bankrupt and upside down and started selling my little book called Stand Up, Speak Up, and Win, I thought I'd brought it over here with me, but I said, this isn't a New York Times bestseller. I never lied. It's not a national bestseller, but it is my bestseller, and I want to assign it to you, your wife, your kid, and if you got a dog, I'll assign it to your dog, because I thought that was a funny line, and they all laughed. And then they all bought it. I mean, the first meeting I went to, I sold 37 books at $10 each. I took in $370, and I could have sold another 37, but there's a bar mitzvah coming in right behind that. So I blew it because I didn't know the game. And Og Mandino, the guy who wrote Greatest Salesman in the World, because I did what I'd asked you to do, interviewed the best-selling authors, fiction, nonfiction. I did 101 each, and asked them, now, how did you write a book? Because hell, if you have been through high school, you know how to write a book, right? You need us or somebody that's really good at editing a bleeding red all over it and just make it work and smooth and flow and all that. But it's called the ventilated prose. Anyhow, there's a nice language for you. The point is, you want to have fun doing this, because I think the book process is fun and the story process is fun. And because what I said is that people are going to burn books, I want to make sure that we have our own platform. We do use Amazon. We just got accepted probably in the biggest platform in Africa because of a biography my wife and I've just written a press and part of, called From Wishes to Riches, about the biggest black minister ever, who had 20 million followers and 26 Rolls Royces. And he passed away, and he and I were very close friends. So his family asked if we'd write it, and we did this great. It'll not be out until 2024, because we're probably going to bring it out for the movie at the same time. So big things are happening, and what all the books I'm dealing with are how do we increase our freedom, our independence, our health, our happiness, our joy, our success, our love, and bring out the best in people. If you're going to write something negative or something hateful or strong, you can't bring it to my publishing house. That's like a no-no. We're not going to do that. We're doing stuff that's uplifting, exalting, humanizing to the human being, because there's enough negativity out there. All you got to do is watch the news. You know, it looks like the world's going to hell. The truth is, it has never been a better time to be alive than right now, and never been as much potential. Even though there's some daunting things happening, 98%. Bucky Fuller taught me, Dr. Fuller taught me when I was in graduate school, 98% of the universe is always working. 98% of your body is automatic. I mean, I ate lunch today, and it's becoming hair and tissue and toenails. And there's not much hair, but it is. It's still.
It is. No, I love that. 98% of your body is automatic, and 95% of your thoughts are automatic too. And we only operate in about 5% space. And it's that I dive deep into that stuff, but it's that programming, that subconscious programming that allows us to show up and be who we are in between those things automatically. But no, I love it. I love it. We've shared a lot of information today. Hopefully it's useful information so that you out there can be inspired. You can have your mind open to what the possibilities are, to what the potential is, to what you can do with your thoughts, your words, your ideas. And we encourage you, whether you want us to help you or not, we want you to write a book, because we believe that books are so critical to society, to the future of everything, that we are here, we support you, and we hope that we gave you some valuable information today. And look for us again. We'll be back here to meet with people, to help to answer questions about writing books, about publishing books, about everything in between, so that you can go and tell your successful story. And I did have one, Lisa mentioned, she said, I hope you guys have an in-person talk in Scottsdale when this COVID thing's over. And there will be things coming. There are going to be things coming. I'm going to put some events together that are coming up soon, hopefully. So stay tuned, stay in touch. We love the live connection with people, and let's go change this world together. Thank you, Mark, for joining me today. Yeah.
We are going to do live events, and our publishing company, Mark Victor Hansen Library, is going to host some. Press will be there with Chris and I, Tom Black. We're going to do it here probably in March, so stay tuned. Or press, in addition to your text, because not everybody some people with burner phones or $79 phones can't do that. So dictate your telephone number, where they can call you, sir. Your cell phone number.
Yeah, so you can text. You can text the number 21,000. Text Preston to the number 21,000. You can reach me directly. Any phone can do that. So the phone number is 21,000, and in the subject line you can text Preston. So you reach out to me. I'll help. I'll get you connected. I'll meet with you. Review what you're trying to do with your dreams, your book, and your vision. And we'll see if we can help you, in line with you, to get you to your goals, to write your authorship journey so you can go and share it with the world and make a difference.
Press, also, I just texted you a picture of a new book that's being done on me. If you can show that on the screen, I have a little bit of thing I want to say if we still have an audience listening.
Oh, shoot.
Can you put that up?
Well, yeah, if you talk for a second, I'll figure out how to do it. So tell us.
So my position is, everybody ought to write your own book, and we have a book out, of course, called, how to self-write your autobiography. It's called Speed Write Your Life Story and Autobiography. And here's what happens. I would love to know what my parents really did. I don't know, except what my brothers and I remember. And I'd like to know what my grandparents and great-grandparents and great-grandparents did. And then I meet this wonderful woman who Press and I have written a book with, as we said, How to Be Up and Down Times. Fallen in love with her. Her name is Mitzi Purdue. We told you her credentials earlier. She's a Miss Wonderful, but a great writer. And as a superstar friend, she says, well, I want to write your biography. And so she's pretty much done it. She's interviewed, I think, 153 people, which very few people get to do while they're still alive. And it's the danger is, Socrates said, the unexamined life is not worth living. So I've gotten to examine my life from childhood, and that's the rough cover. It'll have Mark Victor Hansen on it.
Yeah.
And it's relentless.
Around there. There we go.
Wonderful. Can you make a bigger press?
So let's see.
Maybe not. Anyhow, so see, it's Mitzi Perdue, it's me, and it's Mark Victor Hansen, the writer of the century, says Labrie, which is all the top authors in the world. So fascinating that they would say that, and it's fascinating that Mitzi decided to do this. I am beyond thrilled because I get to read it as it's going, and it's made me cry. And I read you one of the stories from Nathan Wynn today, and Preston's been interviewed. It's fascinating beyond to see what people really think of you while you're alive. See, most people, if you've done the near-death thing, you go to the other side and you get to go through an instant life review, and it takes a little bit of time. But I'm getting to do an instant life review while I'm alive. We want you to write your biography. Now, Mitzi's the one who got me to believe this because she's the only double heiress in America, the Sheraton Hotels and Purdue Chicken. But to get her to be an heiress in the Sheridan family, the Henderson family, you've got to write your biography before you're 50 years old or you get zero. And I said to her, wow, that is like the best deal I've ever had. And somebody wrote something about a self-published book. I couldn't read it fast.
Oh yeah, Miles said I have a self-published book, and it's normal to redo and publish with new edits and titles. So your book evolution. Yeah, go ahead.
We would gladly look at it, tell you what we think about it, and if it's worthy, we'll take it into our library. Obviously, we charge you for it, but we'll rewrite it, re-edit it, and we'll call it keeper cover. If it doesn't have the right title, we'll give it the right title, and then we'll also show you how to. Most of you listening have written nonfiction books, which are wonderful, but nonfiction books are not selling well, and I'm in the nonfiction business. Now, the good news is that I'm talking to literally millions of people on all these podcasts. We did 426 podcasts so far, and like my 1 Minute Millionaire is just going off the Richter scale. I wrote it 21 years ago, and we melted down Jeff Bezos by selling more than he could deliver, which was really great fun. He invited us up there to Amazon. The point is, we want to take. We'll do your fiction book, but we'd like to help you write for you a fiction book, unless you're a fiction writer. And some of you out there are fiction writers. Some of you that can't get work, if you're really confident and capable, you might be coming into what's called a stable. In the publishing house business, it's called a stable of writers. So we just want to be bigger. We're going to go worldwide. We want everybody to get it. And because everybody has a cell phone, we think this is going to be one of the newest delivery systems. And we've got the software to deliver it, which I don't think anyone has what we have. And we'll do the software in text and audio and in video. It is like so way cool. I am thankful at 74 years young to be alive and know that I'm going to be 127 with options for renewal. And I want all of you to, like they said in Star Trek, live long and prosper, right? And just have fun doing it. And for me, this is, I'm enjoying this thoroughly. And I love all the books that we're doing. And if you do nothing else but read some of the books our library comes out with, God bless, we're glad that you did. And if you don't read it, that's a tragedy.
I've got a long question from someone, so I'm gonna pull it up here and I'm gonna read it and then see if we can collect the thoughts from this. But this is from Dina. And I know Dina. Hi, Dina. How are you doing out there? I work with Dina on some different things and projects, but she's amazing. But she said, I'm working on a book series called Through Their Thoughts, which allows for great books that people read over and over again to be publishing with handwritten notes and highlights from other great thought leaders, multiple great thought leaders per book in separate chapters. My concept is to create the feeling you would have if you are borrowing the book marked up from a great mind. What do you think about the idea? Would you be interested in being a part of the project? So that's
well, I got to answer that back. The answer is Mark Victor Hansen Library would be interested in talking it through to you. Would I personally do that project. Well, I've already done that with Chicken Soup for the Soul. And before that, I did 26 volume series where I did multi-author books, and it's called Build a Better You starting now. And it really did a lot of good. And I had to get 13 authors first. So I certainly know that formula. Multi-author books right now are not NOT selling. So, it's not the right way to go. Now, if you do something different, remember I said you got to be.
Yeah, and I think one thing she was saying too is if she took the markups in the book. So I know because you actually this is what you actually gave me this book, which I'm reading, which has your markups in it. So you've got like your notes in here, and I think that's what she's more alluding to, taking writings and having people like you with their feedback in the book. So it would be a little more of a complex book partnership, I think. But yeah.
Dina, to answer your question, if you're going to do that, you got to have really famous people. Like the chance of you getting Elon Musk's books and putting it on, because today they ask me, well, you got to have somebody more famous than you writing the forwards. I said, well, my friend Richard Branson, I think will, do that. But as far as I'm concerned, he's way more famous than I am.
Mm-hmm.
Makes 21 billion a year and 421 companies. So I love Sir Richard, and we've been to Necker Island with him and all that good stuff, Chris along, and had a ball and been with him 6 or 7 times around the world because he keeps inviting us places. So the answer is, it is doable, but boy, you've got to have giant names, or you've got to go backwards and get the stuff of Einstein. And I can just tell you, because I don't know if Press was with us or not at Dr. Frank Lums's house, which is a museum in LA. Frank paid $2 million just to get an autograph of Albert Einstein saying, I will not be the new president, 1948, of Israel. And, anything that is from Albert Einstein that's got his words on it and highlighted and his personal signature, $2 million. Unless you got really deep pockets, lady, I don't think you can do it. And I can guarantee our publishing house won't do it. We charge you to help us. You do a book. But I would ask you to, because Press does know you, he'll introduce you to Tom Black, and Tom Black will gladly talk it through to you and figure out how we can make it work. Because here's what I teach, and I've always taught principle-wise, there's always a way. And let me just give an Elon Musk example. Is that okay, Press?
Yeah.
Okay, so Elon Musk is told during COVID, you've got to shut down. And you all know this story. He's in somewhere California, and he thinks, well, what's the problem? The problem is we can't make enough ventilators right now because people are getting pneumonia. And he calls up 3M and said, you can't make the ventilators fast enough. I have the manpower. I've got the machines. I've got the AI. I've got the 3D printing. Send me the thing. We'll do 50-50. Well, while he made all those ventilators and kept his company open with 90,000 employees, dang, if he didn't make all the cars while General Motors, Ford, Chrysler, Toyota was all closed down, became the richest man in the world and kept doing it. So when I tell you there's always a way, and right now somebody has told me today I can't do something, I said, no. You don't understand who I am. I outthink you, I outmarket you, I outsell you, I outtalk you, I outwork you, I outdeliver you. It's pretty damn hard to beat me unless you are me. And I'm going to beat myself because I'm only competing with me, because there's only two. I learned from doing Reverend Knight's book. There's only 2 opinions that matter: God's and mine, of me. And this guy told me I couldn't do something. I said, no, that's of interest to you, but it's not true of me. And by the way, that's cocky, bold, and arrogant, and sophomoric. Not true. Look, all of us get obstacles. That's the give me in life. God's forever. Thank you, Deanna. That's forever. You got to go over, under, around, or through the obstacle to get the other side. And there is a way. I don't know what the way is right now, but you got to know that Tom Black is our genius partner in here, and he is absolutely a savant. And it's just amazing what we can do.
Yep. So, well, yeah, that's, we have covered a lot today. I think, we'll wrap it up here for today. But do you have any final thoughts or final, words before we finish up here?
Yeah, I want all of you to write a book. I want it to be a great book. I want it to be a book that at least you love reading and your family loves reading and all future generations love reading. But let's even go to the bigger picture and say, a way to continue source and serve humanity at a pressure point that they don't know how to solve themselves. And my wife and I pray and meditate every day for an hour before we start our day, really early in the morning. And we just keep finding all these pressure points for our own stuff. But I don't think we're special. I think if you understand what I teach is, and read and ask, is you got to, your self-awareness evolves to your self-expression, evolves to your self-mastery, evolves to your self-realization, which means you're in tune with the infinite. And the infinite is infinite, and the infinite has an infinite way to make you successful, rich, and a best-selling author, if that's your desire. Now, if you say, I'm too good to go out and hustle my own books, stay broke. That's your choice. But remember, we're always a choice, always at making decisions. I just have to say, look, I'm bigger, and if you saw the tons of letters, like Jack and I got up to 5,000 letters a day thanking us from people, just like the one I read to you from Nathan. You know, just it makes me cry because we have done so much good, but you are here to do that good. I'm trying to offer you on a silver or gold platter or platinum platter or whatever kind of platter you want, you know, the key to the kingdom. And some of you say, well, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy. Go read our book, Ask Again, because the first thing we cover is how to get out of unworthiness. You know, it's that book. We want to make sure that you overcome it. Because all of us have those issues. All of us have doubt, indecision, all that stuff. And what we do is we show you how to take it from big and stopping you to take it to little and blowing it away.
Yep. Well, it's amazing. You know, we have been uplifted, we've been blessed, we've been edified, we've been taught, we've been inspired, and I appreciate you so much for coming here. Everyone watching appreciates you and loves you so much for coming here. And so thank you for doing this today. Thank you for helping people. Thank you for standing for what you stand for in all the books and all the projects that you do and you work on. And I appreciate you and I love you. And you know, this is just a great, great thing. We want to change the world. We want you, listener out there, to change the world by sharing your thoughts, by sharing your words. And no one's going to be able to listen to you. No one's going to be able to learn from you if you don't go and do this. And so, and if your words aren't there, whose words are going to be out there? Whose words are going to be changing the world? And so, we've got thank yous coming in, got thank yous from people, but you know, yeah, thank you for everyone that's watched today, and watch us for more events coming up. Watch for local events coming up as people start to feel more comfortable going to live events. We will put them on. If you come, we will put them on. We love to connect with you. We love to talk to you. We want to be there, you know, helping you and giving our skills away so that we can uplift your lives, because that's why we're all here. We do it together. No one can do it by themselves. When you write your book, you need someone to read it, and everything just moves forward. So it's part of that, you know, evolution of life. But thank you, Mark. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Take care. Have an amazing, amazing week. And follow us on all we're pushing right now to Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. So wherever you're at, wherever you're experiencing this, follow, like, subscribe, check out what we're up to, because we're providing solutions to help people. And this stuff here is free. So take advantage of it. Take the information that we gave to you today and do something with it and go change the world. Thank you, everyone. Have an amazing day.